review for Freejack with Emilio Estevez, Anthony Hopkins. So, I like the premise of the movie. I've heard of it before, never seen it. There are some good things about it, but overall, I think it's not a very good movie. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not absolutely the worst thing ever. I'd say it's just kind of mediocre. It's maybe a little too long. It's a little boring in parts, but um, so basically, the synopsis: bounty hunters from the future transport a doomed race car driver to New York City to the year 2009, which is hilarious, where his mind will be replaced with that of a dead billionaire. So, yeah, Emilio Estevez is like an Indy 500 race car driver. He's really talented. He's very good. And then he gets killed, you think. Well, you don't really think, because there's also Mick Jagger, who's in this movie, who, like, he's just nothing against him. He's not an actor, so he's a bit flat in the movie. He probably doesn't help the movie, but it's kind of funny to see Mick Jagger in, pretty, somewhat sizable role. He's like a bounty hunter that very rich people hire to basically steal people from the past who are about to die, and then they steal they take their bodies, and they replace the mind with a billionaire, or and he does this for billionaires. And Rene Russo is Emilio Estevez's girlfriend. I think it's just girlfriend. I think they're gonna get married, but um and he's racing, and someone like rubs up on his tires, and then he's about to die. The car's about to hit his car, like, goes flying in the air, which I don't know, I thought was kind of funny, but I was like, that would it go that high up? It kind of goes flying in the air, but it explodes. There's no body, because his body's transported to 2009 by Mick Jagger and his team, and then they're in this mobile unit driving through the city. It's like this kind of post-apocalyptic world where they're in New York City, but it's all destroyed except for one area, like I forget what it's called, but like the safe part, and that part is where all the rich people live, and he's trying to get to that part in this mobile unit, and he gets attacked by these gangs, and it kind of blows up some of his troops and the mobile unit. And Emilio Estevez figures out that this is not, because they mention that they're gonna like fry his brain, because they're like, oh wow, he still has brain function, so they're like, well, we need to fry his brain, because they wouldn't be happy if we delivered a subject that wasn't. So he breaks out, and he's on the run, and he's trying to catch him the whole time. So yes, and overall, just, kind of a mediocre movie from the early, it's 92, right? Yeah, the early 90s. You know, not that great. Apparently Mick Jagger agreed to the movie before really reading the script. He said later he wouldn't have done it if he read the script, but I don't know. I mean, how many roles are they offering Mick Jagger? I mean, yeah, he's, a singer. I mean, he's, the Rolling Stones, but he's not an actor, So, definitely Emilio Estevez is the best part of this movie. He's really trying to deliver something. I like some of the sci-fi elements. I like the premise, although I think there's some problems with it. Because they even pointed out, because they're like, well, why don't you just take a random person from the street? And then someone's like, well, because it's the future and there's radiation and people don't eat well. They're like eating rats and stuff. And there's all these, these problems with the environment. And it's like, okay. But then there's a safe part and a rich part that's all nice. They have nice cars and it's all nice. So why not maybe just take one of them, you know? And I mean, it's like, yeah, well, they're all rich, but I don't know, they're not all billionaires, right? I don't know. I think that's kind of like, well, why do you have to do this whole thing of taking people from the past, which probably cost tons of money to do, and you have to hire all these bounty hunters and all these scientists to do it, and so I think it's kind of a problem with the premise of the movie, but you don't really have a movie if you don't do that because they um but so there's some interesting stuff in it. I kind of like some of the sci-fi elements. It reminds me like of early 90s, late 80s kind of sci-fi. I enjoyed that part. um Rene Russo becomes the head of or one of the heads of this huge corporation. She lives in the safe part and the rich part. She's all rich now, and um, he is trying to find out what happened to him, why this all happened. He finds out that she's alive, that she's in this area, so he's trying to get to her. Anthony Hopkins is her boss, and yeah, and they're trying to transport a rich person's basically consciousness, not their brain, but their consciousness into his. Um, and he's called a Freejack because he is that's what they call people who are taken from the past into the future and that are on the run. So apparently this has happened before. They're on the run. But yeah, overall not an amazing movie. The director did Under Siege 2 Dark Territory, which I haven't watched in a while, but I always felt like that movie was, not terrible, but not very good. Very mediocre. Especially the villain in that movie is just bad. So, Under Siege 1's much better movie, but and then he directed Young Guns 2. I haven't watched in a while, but I like. I mean, Young Guns 1's better, but so I don't know. He's done a couple mediocre movies. I'd say Young Guns 2 is his best. I haven't seen any of his other stuff. He did a TV series of The Magnificent Seven, or he directed one episode, even though that was a thing. Whoa, Michael Biehn's in that. A TV series of The Magnificent Seven ran from 1998 to 2000. That's interesting. Michael Biehn, Ron Perlman's in it? Okay, that's kind of interesting, but yeah, spoilers. I'll get into spoilers now. Spoilers. So this is something I guessed right away when I saw Anthony Hopkins. I was like, I bet he's the guy that's the billionaire who is dying and wants to jump into Emilio Estevez's body to take over his mind, and he is, and it's revealed at the very end. And I guess that it's pretty obvious, I think, because Rene Russo's like talks to him, but it's always over telecom. He's always like, "Oh, I'm in Sydney, I'm out of town," so I thought it was pretty obvious. But yeah, overall, pretty obvious movie what happens. Some of this kind of reminds me of Demolition Man a little, just the world, kind of, and some of the aesthetics, like the cars of like the super rich and stuff. Definitely gave me a Demolition Man vibe. Um, Demolition Man's a way better movie, in my opinion. Much more watchable. Much better movie. Um, there's a few gunfights that were, okay. You could tell the movie had a decent budget. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of a mediocre movie, I'd say. Not that good. Anthony Hopkins called it a terrible film in a later interview. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd say it's terrible, but it's pretty mediocre. I do like the premise, though, but the film was loosely based on 1959 science fiction novel Immortality Incorporated. Yeah, the film takes place in November 2009. Oh yeah, Anthony Hopkins and Rene Russo appeared in Thor and Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, Emilio Estevez and the director worked on Young Guns too. So, but yeah, check it out if you're an Emilio Estevez fan. Anthony Hopkins really isn't in it that much. He's in really just a couple scenes. Rene Russo's in it a decent amount. Mick Jagger's in it a decent amount. Emilio's in it. He's the star. He's trying to give a good performance. So, but yeah, that's about it. Like, comment below. I'll let me know if you're a fan. I think this movie has somewhat of some small fan base. I don't know if it has a Blu-ray, but yeah, that's about it. See you next time.